Hi friends, welcome to Ivy-GreGMAT GMAT Verbal CR Session 5 Part B. I am Arijit. Let's start the session for today. Okay, CR paradox. This is a question where you have got the same fundamentals, kind of question. Same fact 1, fact 2 by this time you must know, leading to a conclusion, which is the likely conclusion. But in this kind of questions, you will find the conclusion given is C, or rather, let's take it as C1, C2, which is the unlikely one, with a different reason why this is chosen. So there is a paradoxical situation which says that otherwise C1 should be the conclusion, and rather than C1, C2 has become the conclusion. So why is the question you'll have to answer. The options are basically the reason for this. That if this is true, if this is one of the additional facts, then C2 should be the conclusion instead of C1. So the likely conclusion is not chosen and the unlikely is chosen. Most likely this conclusion is given in the question, and what you are asked to after a contradiction is that why this is not happening or something unlikely is going to happen. So a paradoxical situation needs to be ascertained and needs to be gauged to get to the correct conclusion. So that's the basic fundamental. Let's get down with the questions. We'll understand it better. Question number 1. Small roads do not have painted markings along the edges. Clear edge markings would make it easier for drivers to see upcoming curves and to judge the car's position on the road, particularly when the visibility is poor, and would therefore seem to be useful contribution to the road safety. However, after Great Wall County painted the edge markings on all its narrow winding roads, the annual accident rate along the roads actually increased slightly. So we've got a situation here where certain facts are given that edge markings give a clear visibility about the upcoming curves and to judge the position of the car on the road, and also helps in when the visibility is poor, and therefore will contribute towards the road safety. Therefore this says that this is the conclusion C1, as we said, the most likely conclusion that the road safety will go up. However, there's a contradiction word here. In some county, Great Wall County, they did the same thing for the edge markings on all narrow winding roads. Annual accident rate actually increased slightly. So the conclusion was somewhat else. So we have got a fact, one set of facts which gives that the road markings, etc. The people can see it better. Visibility is poor. Then also it's better to drive. Uh, should contribute to road safety. Now a situation is given that certain county, the Great Wall County, is done the same thing, but the rate of accidents actually went up. So otherwise, it should this if this is correct, then the number of accidents should have gone down. Now think about it this way. So what might have happened? The moment the roads are better marked, the visibility is no more poor, driving at night becomes a beautiful experience. The number of cars on the road may go up, so the accidents are not only proportional to the quality of the roads, are also proportional to the number of vehicles. So let's look in for something where we can substantiate that if the number of vehicles have actually shot up, so did the accidents have slightly gone up. So that means previously it was 100 accidents. After the roads were corrected, though the number of cars have gone, say if there were 100 cars previously and 100 accidents, now there are 500 cars and the number of accidents are 120. So you can say the figures are better, but the number of accidents have shot up because of a number of vehicles, more number of vehicles. We can say cars, lorries, etc. Anything. So let's see what may be the. So the question here is, which of the following, if true, most helps to explain the increase in the accident rate? If I look at the options properly and look at option E especially, we'll see something like this. After markings were painted on the roads, many drivers who had gone out of the way to avoid driving on those roads at night no longer did so. So, say a driver who was previously going from spot A to spot B would take a detour from C and reach B because this road was slightly better, but the and rather covering more kilometers. So the moment he came across that, okay, now the markings are there, why not take the straight road? So the after markings were painted on the roads, many drivers, so the vehicular traffic from A to B actually shot up. So did the number of accidents slightly went up. Though people were then the overall number of accidents vis-a-vis the number of vehicles was lower, but the total number of accidents actually went up. So E is the correct answer. Absolutely is the correct answer. Okay, that rather E explains the paradox. Question number 2. From 1978 to 1988, beverage containers accounted for a steady decreasing percentage of the total weight of the household beverages in US. The increasing widespread practice of recycling aluminum and glass was responsible for most of this decline. However, although aluminum recycling was more widely practiced in this period than glass recycling, it was found that the weight of glass bottles in the household garbage declined at a greater percentage than the weight of aluminum cans. Now let's again analyze the situation. Situation one, the number of beverage containers that went down, or rather, the beverage containers accounted for a steady decreasing percentage in the total weight. So overall weight of the garbages in that the beverage containers went down. Now, the author says the increasing widespread practice of recycling aluminum and glass was responsible. So, aluminum and glass recycling. So, recycling of glass and aluminum was responsible for the lowering of the weight. Now, he digs further and says that, however, although aluminum recycling is more widely practiced, so aluminum, the recycling is more than glass. So, aluminum recycling is more, but glass recycling is less. So, aluminum of aluminum is more than recycling of glass, if I put it this way. One second. So, if I put it this way, that recycling of aluminum is more than recycling of glass. If this is true, it was found that it starts with contradiction word, though this is more. It was found that the waste of glass bottles in household garbage declined at a greater percentage than the weight of aluminum cans. A normal conclusion can be obviously recycling is more of aluminum and recycling of glass is less. So the weight of aluminum should be percentage of weight of aluminum should be more than pardon, should be less than that of glass. So glass recycling, since it is less, should be a larger proportion of the garbage weight. But something else happened here. Contrary to our beliefs, the proportion of weight of aluminum was higher than that of glass. That's what has been said. It was found that the weight of the bottles in the garbage that declined greater percentage than the weight of aluminum. So it was found that the total amount of glass bottles declined further. So if I in the new situation, what is happening? In spite of more recycling of aluminum than recycling of glass, where the probable thing should have been less aluminum weight in the garbage and more glass weight, it was other way around. This did not happen. It was more of glass decline than aluminium. I think that's the best way I can put it. So the in garbage, the glass went down more than that of aluminium, in spite of the fact aluminium was getting more recycled. So if I think about this, why glass went down and why not aluminium, which is getting recycled fast more, I can put it this way that if in a household the usage of glass is replaced by some other material, so overall what goes in the garbage, so most likely in spite of this kind of a contradictory conclusion, we can say that it's most likely that the intake of glass in the garbage is being less in the household has been less because glass got replaced by some other material. So and aluminium remained steady. So there were 10 bottles of glass, say, of glass, and 10 cans of aluminium. All the 10 got recycled. So this is one. But here the glass got replaced by 5 new glass, only 5. Or rather, all the glass bottles are now replaced by, say, something else. So obviously, the weight of this will go down in the garbage. Let's look at answers where we can find a similar kind of a situation. Let's look at option D. Manufacturers replaced many glass bottles with plastic bottles, but few aluminum cans with plastic containers. So the manufacturers of different material which are consumed by the household replace those glass bottles with plastic bottles. So obviously the number of weight of glass declined. So weight of glass bottles in the household garbage declined by a greater percentage than that of aluminum cans because aluminum cans were not replaced by plastic containers. So glass got replaced by plastic. So the glass overall weight went down. Our answer is D. Plain. Okay. So let's go for option question number 3 now. Okay, question number 3. 12 years ago and again 5 years ago, there were periods when Tapu Republic's currency so was weak. This value was unusually low relative to the world's most stable currencies. Both times, weak miso made Tapu's manufactured products a bargain on world market. Tapu's exports were up substantially. Now, some politicians are saying that in order to cause another similarly sized increase in exports, the government should allow the miso to become no, it's tough, but how the weakening of the currency actually helps exporters. Currency, the miso, say $1, $1 is equal to 100 miso, say miso. And after the currency has become weak or has been deliberately weakened, now $1 is equal to 120 miso. So the currency has become weak. So this will become helpful to the this is a good news for the exporters because now you are some substance from say Tafu Republic to say country X. When goods travel from here to here, if they are worth $1, Tafu Republic gets $1. That means this exporter will get, if previously he was getting 100 misos, he's going to get 120 misos. This is called as the weakening of the currency and how it helps an exporter. He is an exporter. Now, had he been an importer, the other thing would have happened. He would have spent 120 misos instead of 100 misos to import something. because the dollar remains the stable currency. The movement of the dollar is minimum. So any export oriented country rather goes for weakening of the dollar. So that's how it is. So what has happened in tough four republics case? Let us understand. 12 years ago and 5 years ago, there were periods when this republic's currency miso was weak, means it was deliberately weakened by the central bank, and the value was low relative to the world's most stable currencies. Both the times the manufactured products a bargain on the were a bargain on the world market, and Tafo's exports were up substantially. Now, obviously, we with the weak currency, they gained some export benefits out of it. Now, some politicians are saying that in order to cause a similarly sized exports, the government should allow the miso to become weak again. Fair enough, the weak currency led to high exports twice. So now the plan is make the currency weak again, and this will catapult the exports, or rather, again, high exports are expected. Now the question is, which of the following, if true, provides the government with the strongest ground to doubt that the politician's recommendation, if followed, will achieve the aim. Now the author is saying the government will have strongest ground to doubt the aim that this will happen. So it says that in spite of weakening of the currency, weak currency, the exports will not go up. So exports will not go up. So why this thing? That's the question. So if I check what may happen for any exports to happen, there is one thing for sure that we'll have to ensure one thing. Remember, exports happen when production is more than consumption. So P is more than C. So these two should be there. So if production is more, then only exports are happening. So Tafur republics must be having this thing in place. But to cater to a market, when there is a surge in export, the production capacity needs to be expanded. Now, what if the production is in the final is already running at the highest level? Let's see. A similar thing might happen. Strongest grounds to doubt this. Now, let's look at option B. After several decades of operating well above the peak, below the peak capacity, Tapu's manufacturing sector is now operating at a near peak level. So, whatever good X is getting Tapu plans to export. Now, if 100 is the total capacity of a factory, 100 items per day, it is already producing 100 per day. So, and a further expansion, suddenly jump is not possible. So, whatever weakening of the currency happens, this will not help. So, production is at highest level. So, a weak currency will not help pushing the exports up. Fine. B is the correct answer. Fine, let's next go to the next one. The population of megacity, a sprawling metropolis in Remaland, has grown at a fairly steady rate for over a century. 100 years ago, poor sanitation in the city caused high mortality rates among the city's inhabitants, and what fueled the population increase was immigration from rural villages. The immigration has continued and even increased. Moreover, in recent decades, the city's sanitation has improved enormously. Yet the city's population growth has not significantly accelerated. Well, we are given a situation here of this place, megacity, where the population has grown for the past over 100 years. 100 years ago, the poor sanitation condition in the city caused high mortality rates for the city's inhabitants, and that fueled the population increase was so the and what fueled the population increase was the immigration from the villages. So population of megacity, fact one given is 100 years it has gone up, megacity population we can say gone up due to influx from immigration from villages. So this is what happens. A city is here from, say this is megacity, and from the nearby villages every year population there is an immigration. And it is also saying that the immigration continued, and even increased, continued and increased. Moreover, it's again adding up further, the sanitation is improved. So sanitation improved. So with all the things like plus plus plus, sanitation improved means the sanitation was the cause of high mortality, so now it is low mortality. So having said that, the population should actually, if increasing at this rate, should now take a leap like this with all these factors in place, if these facts are correct. Yet we have got a contrasting word. The city's population growth has not significantly accelerated. So with everything in place, the acceleration of the city's population should have spiked, but the acceleration rate of acceleration is more like at this line. This is what was expected, but this is what happened. Now the question here is, which of the following, if true, most helps to explain why the city's population growth rate has not changed? So everything was fine, like it has been increasing steadily. Now the immigration has continued and even increased. So immigration has not gone down. So population growth can happen because of immigration. Can go up by high birth rate and by low mortality rate. So this has been up. The sanitation has been better, so the mortality rate has gone down. So these two are contributing to the growth of the population. What about the high birth rate? If the birth rate goes low, if the birth rate is low, these two growths can be offset, right? whatever may be the immigration, the birth rate, which is the biggest contributor in the growth of population of some place, if that is low, then definitely whatever the author is saying, population growth has not significantly accelerated. This will be true. This conclusion will be supported. So we have got a situation. This conclusion is paradoxical to what is expected, and what may be the reason we think this could be one of the best reasons why it is like this. Let's see option B. For several decades, megacity has, as distinct from the countryside, has had a steady declining birth rate. So the countryside, this birth rate has not gone down. Steadily declining birth rate has happened in megacity. So definitely, this is the biggest contributor. A low birth rate has led the city population not to accelerate. Fine. So B is the answer. Let's go to the next question. Question number 5. For several years, per capita expenditure on prescription drugs in Moldova rose by 15% or more annually. In order to curb this dramatic increase, the Ministry of Health prohibited drug manufacturers from raising any of their products' prices, even though use of prescription drugs did not expand after this price increase. Per capita expenditure for prescription drugs continued to increase by a substantial percentage each year. Now, something happened here in Moldova. In Moldova, the per capita expenditure, let's put it as per capita expenditure on drugs. It used to rise by 15% or more, say 15 to 20%. So the government of Moldova intervened here and said, fix the prices of drugs.